Today we'll start with decision theory. Okay. So in decision theory, basically the matrix of the form this step will be given. Okay. So this represents the action which can be taken, or it can be considered as a decision which can be taken. Okay. And S1, S2, S3 represent the state of nature. Okay. Means if decision A1 is taken and the state of nature is of S1, then profit of 10 can be obtained. Okay. Similarly, if the decision A2 is taken, okay, and state of nature is our S2, then you can get a loss of 10. So in this way we understand the table. So what the decision theory deals with, understanding the table, how the person will going to identify which decision he must take. Okay. So there are some four kind of decision we will going to study now. Four kind of type of way in which we can find the best decision. Okay. One is a Maximax. Okay, what is a Maximax thing? It is a person when he is very much optimistic. Optimistic means he thinks that he is very much lucky. So what he will going to consider for all the situations, or for all the action, he will going to consider the maximum profit. Okay, and he will going to choose the action where he is going to get the maximum profit of all. For example, if we consider this question. Okay. Okay, so what the question asks, that you are supposed to find the optimal decision using the criterion Maximin. Okay, and the matrix is this much: A1, A2, A3, and these are the state of nature. Okay, in this situation, what he will going to do for Maximax, he will going to see the action A1 and obtain the maximum profit is of 38. For action A2, the maximum profit is of 105. For action A3, the maximum profit is 91. So he will going to see that what is the maximum profit he can get, that is a 105. So he will going to go with the action A2. Okay, because he is very much optimistic that he will going to get the best profit now. Okay. Another is Maximin. Okay, so what is this Maximin kind of decision? Okay, in this thing, the person is little pessimistic. Means he thinks that he is not that lucky. So whatever the decision he will going to take, he will going to get the minimum profit. Okay, so what he do now? He will going to see the minimum profit of each and every action, for the action A1 also, for the action A2 also, and for the action A3 also. And then he will going to consider the maximum of all the minimum profit. Okay, that is in the worst scenario also, what is the best profit he can obtain. For example, if we see the sums, okay, what he will going to do in Maximin, he will going to first obtain the minimum of the action A1, minimum of the action A2, minimum of the action A3, like minimum 35, for second action minimum was 58, for third action minimum is 30. Now he will going to choose the maximum of this. Maximum is 58. So where the 58 is, it is from action A2. So he will going to choose the action A2. Okay. Now coming towards the next way, that is a Laplace way of taking the decision. So in this, the person, he will going to consider he will not going to consider the state of nature S1, S2, S3. He will just going to see that if I see overall, what is the average profit I can get in each of the actions. Okay, so for action A1, for action A2, for action A3, he will going to take the average. Okay, and whichever the average is greater, in whichever situation he is getting the better average, he will going to choose that action. Okay, for example, this was our matrix. Okay, in this matrix, for action A1, he has taken the average 35 plus 100 plus 38 divided by 3. Similarly, for all the thing he has done and choose, and the maximum average he got for A2. So he will going to go with the action A2. Now next is Hurwicz criteria. What is Hurwicz criteria? In Hurwicz criteria, you will be given with the probability. Alpha is some probability. Probability of what? That I am this much sure that for example 0.4 probability means he is 0.4 means that he is 40% sure that he will going to get the maximum profit and 60% sure that he is going to get the minimum profit. So according to his understanding, he will going to choose the decision. Means for whichever action he is dealing, he will going to consider the 40% of the maximum plus 60% of the minimum. Similarly, for the action A2, he will going to consider the 40% of the maximum and 60% of the minimum. Okay, in this way he will going to obtain the maximum value. So where the maximum value it is 76.8 and which lies in action A2. So he will going to choose the action A2. So for such this criteria, Hurwicz criteria, the alpha value will always be given. Sometime it is 0.4, 0.6, it can be any value. So what you are supposed to do, you are just supposed to multiply that given value with the maximum value and 1 minus of that value with the minimum value for all the A1, A2, A3, and then choose the maximum of those to obtain the optimal decision. Now see this question. This is also very much simple question where you are supposed to obtain the decision tree. See, a decision tree making is very much simple. Okay, such kind of box will be given action A1, A2, A3, then source of action, that's all. And one more thing is given, that is a probability. 0.1, 0.5, 0.4. Probability of state of nature S1, probability of state of nature S2 and for S3. So, how we are going to make such thing? First, we are going to start with A, as we are having 3 actions. So, from A, A1, A2, A3 will going to go. Okay. Now, for each action, we are having 3 state of nature. So, this will also be shown from this. For action A, we are having S1, S2, S3. Similarly, for action A2, we are having S1, S2, S3 and for A3 also. Now, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to mention the probability of S1, S2, S3 on each of these lines. Okay? And after that, you are supposed to mention the profit which you can achieve. Okay? For action A1, for state of nature S1, what will be the profit? 10. For action for action A1, state of nature S2, what is the profit? Minus 10. So in this way, you are supposed to make the entire table. Similarly, for A2, for profit S1, for state of nature S1, the profit is 50. For state of nature S2, the profit is 80. For state of nature S3, the profit is 30. Okay, similarly, you can obtain a table. Now, how we are going to suggest the best course of action? Using the EMV, that is the expected monetary value. So, how we obtain the expected monetary value? We multiply the profit with the probability and add them. So, for all the 3 cases, you are supposed to do the same thing. Just 10 into 0.1 plus minus 10 into 0.5 plus minus 150 into 0.5. See what is the total value. Similarly, for A2, 50 into 0.1, 80 into 0.5, 30 into 0.5, then add the value. So, we will going to do the same for A3 also. And how we are going to choose the best decision? Choose the value where you are getting the maximum EMV. Okay. For example, if here we are getting some EMV as for example, if here we are getting 10, here we are getting 15, and here we are getting some 12. So, what is the maximum EMV for 15? Okay. So, A2 will be chosen. A2 will be the best decision. Okay. This is just I have assumed the value. Okay.